Hello students, today we are going to discuss about the prelims of 2019. As we all know that this year's prelims is on 2nd of June 2019. So there are almost 75 days left for that exam. So we are going to discuss about the strategy what a student should have regarding that period. And in order to discuss that with us, I have my friend Saurabh Kumar, who got 16th rank in the Forest Services exam this year, and we'll discuss the strategy what he used as a strategy in order to clear the cutoff of forest also, which is higher as compared to that of the civils. So we'll discuss something about that. But before that, I just want to ask you the question, what were your previous experiences with the previous prelims of UPSC?
Yes. In 2016, when I gave the first prelims after leaving the job, I got a score of 89, whereas cutoff was 116. So, very well short of the score. And that paper was a bit easy, and I could not score well because the level of current affairs or everything was very less. In 17, I identified the gap areas, and this helped me to improve my score to 113.34 and clear the civil services pre by 8 marks, 8 marks more than the cutoff. And but I was short of the forest services pre. I further identified the gap area, and in 2018 I did some 116 or 118, which is good marks to clear the forest service prelims also. The key in these years what I identified is the gap areas identified. You have to identify your gap areas and then work on to the same.
Okay. So the important point is to look for your gap areas, and for that you need to do the assessment by yourself, because for every student this gap area is different. Okay. But we need to understand this from the perspective, because large number of our viewers are also from the background who are freshers in this. Okay. So I just initially want the strategy what the freshers should follow.
Yes. By freshers, I assume that they have just started the preparation 2-3 months back, and they are into mid of some things but not concretized their preparation for various subjects. For them, what I would suggest that you have to identify the key areas from which questions are being repeatedly asked. Rather than going cover to cover for your particular book, you may not be able to cover all the areas from that particular book, and again you may end up doing 1 or 2 subjects but leaving others. So rather than doing that, I will say that you have to do key areas for all the subjects, and then appear for the prelims 2019 with a clear-cut cool mind and keeping common sense and logic into the place. And I think that yes, it can be clear.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. But here we are trying to provide to the students the detailed strategy. So I'm just going to ask you about the sources regarding different subjects, or what areas, key areas you are talking about the different subjects. Like the first subject can be polity.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the key areas in that polity subject?
Yes. Polity is one area that what I have observed in my attempts or interaction with various people who have been successful, that polity is one thing that in prelims you cannot afford to lose marks into that. So for that, you should read the concept well, and we are fortunate that we have a book called Lakshmikant. Questions come from that, and that is easy to read also. See, that can have 2 steps. For initial people who have not been able to cover the full book, I will speak on to the few chapters which must be done before prelims. The first chapter, which is the constitutional acts, and the act on constitution, the chapter on constitution, in which it is mentioned that from where things have been borrowed or which all schedules are for which one. Then our chapter on citizenship, fundamental rights, DPSP, duty. Then chapter on center-state relations, chapter on then we will have President, Governor, Supreme Court, High Court, Parliament. If we say that in full prelims preparation, if any chapter is most important, that is Parliament. Then coming to the chapter of Panchayati Raj, and the brief of all the chapters which are there in the constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. So those chapters need to be done at first. That will be 60% of the polity syllabus of Lakshmikant, but that should cover the 80% of the questions which come from the polity section.
Okay, that's very helpful to know. Polity is okay, we understand that there is a single source, but then there is a problem regarding the source of economics. Yes. What all is to be done in economics? If you can tell the students about that.
See, if you have done your sources till now, that is well and fine. Stick to that source, cover that source well, and revise well. If somebody has not done the source, one source which I referred was Crux of Indian Economy, isselfstudy.com. So there .org or .com, in that one you will find the compilation of Indian economy from Mr. Atul Garg. I referred the same, and in that particular you may get threatened by seeing the size of the PDF or the number of pages, but you have to understand that in those we have figures for the International Organization chapter, and in each of the topic he has identified the questions which have been asked from that area in UPSC, CAPF, UPSC Prelims, that CDS Prelims, or whatever UPSC exams are there. So that questions are quite helpful to keep you onto the track of what UPSC looks for. So if somebody has not done his sources, he can do that one very well.
Okay. Yes, then a next subject which we'll move to is geography. Yes. Although we have seen in terms of geography in last few years, very few questions were there of geography. So what do you suggest? How do the students should prepare regarding the geography for prelims?
Yes, for geography, it is well accepted that class 11th, both NCERTs are very important. But those NCERTs are like short capsules with a lot of things filled into, and to understand each of the topic you need to have a broader understanding, for which you may need to take help of Dushyant sir's videos or other videos which are available in the market, or any other person who is good with the geography. But in the limited time of 75 days, if somebody has not done the geography till now, so he can identify the key areas, because physical geography they are asking less questions. So the rivers chapter in Indian geography, the climate chapter in Indian geography are a must. And in physical geography also, physiography or India's physiographic divisions, so first 2-3 chapters, they are a must. So they must be revised well, and other chapters depending on the time availability should be done. One more thing I would like to highlight, they are not asking, they may not be asking climatic region in last 1 or 2 years, but climatic regions have been a favorite topic of UPSC, like taiga, tundra, savanna. So those things should be done. If somebody has time, he can refer GC Leong or someone's tabular representation. So that particular thing can be seen. In fact, I would request Dushyant sir to make a short video of half an hour to 1 hour for clarity of students.
Yes, I can. You can rest assured that I'll try and make that kind of a video for geography. And one more thing for geography is that although in last few years we haven't seen good amount of questions from geography, but then it is not a portion which you should leave.
Yes.
Because any time soon in the future exams, this can take a lot of proportion in your exam.
Yes.
And if you're leaving it behind, then you will be left behind in terms of the competition also.
One thing I would like to add, like in 16 they asked more current affairs, in 17 they asked more polity, in 18 they asked more history. So there may be a chance that in 19 they ask geography.
Any year this proportion can increase, so we should not leave this part by thinking that this is not coming.
And one more thing I would like to add, that in geography last 2 years they have been asking mapping. So at least the areas which have been in news, so those areas you should see on world map, as well as in India map you should try to understand that which state touches boundary of which one, and that sort of, like this year question was in longitude to the Delhi, which one is the nearest. So the answer was Bangalore. So just in the past time or something, you can keep some map in your mobile and you can keep watching. So that may help you eliminate the option in the final examination.
Okay, that was regarding geography. Now moving to the next subject, and that is related to geography, that is environment and ecology. what all is required, because we know that the forest exam and civils exam are merged together. The prelims is the same, and that is why the importance of environment has increased in the paper. So what sources do you suggest how the student should prepare for that?
See, the environment source available in the market is a bit bookish. So I have tried I had tried dividing the whole thing into 7 parts, and I have put that in a post, and the link is provided in the description. So you can see those 7 parts, and the first 3 parts: international initiative, national initiative, and the basic theory. They are a must. So they should be done from any one source, and like you can do like you can see the previous year questions to understand what actually they are asking. So I have segregated the previous year questions also in the manner of 7 areas. So those 3 portions you have to do from some source and see previous years to supplement the same. Again, seeing previous year, you will get the idea that what they are asking, like this particular organization is part of UN, or what is the objective of this particular organization. So some sort of understanding regarding the organization is a must. In national level, you have to identify National Action Plan on Climate Change or various government schemes. And regarding the theory, you have to go the basic theory, PMF environment or Shankar IS environment, that is sufficient. But you have to do, like if you are doing Shankar environment, don't go that deep because the book has been a bit bookish. So the topics have to be done and basic understanding is to be developed. And one more thing is there, that in environment, current affair is the link for all. So you should do environment compilations from any one current affair source.
Yes.
And the other 4 areas like species, national park, biosphere reserves, and the possibilities section. So in those portions, cost benefit ratio may be a bit lesser because the nature of question being asked a bit random. So for those guys who have not done yet, but they have many things to do, they can rely on current affair compilations to be rest assured that if it is asked from this, okay. If it is not asked from this, then they can leave it to the, anyways, the cutoff is not more than 60 questions. So they can leave it into that area.
Okay, by that the clarity comes out that in environment we can at least set aside the static portions for now and just focus on the current affairs, and if we get the time then we should move towards them. So that's also very helpful to know. Like you have talked about the current affairs of the environment also. Now regarding current affairs also, there are a lot of problem among the students. What current affairs should they follow in this 75 days? How should they approach this current affairs?
Yes, current affairs, if somebody has done their sources, I will again repeat that complete that source and revise that source. But in case somebody has not done their sources, then year-long compilations will be coming. You have to prioritize into that. You cannot, you should try doing environment, science and tech, and economy current affair at first, and then go for the other current affairs like polity and culture, that sort of. So environment, science and tech, economy, all these 3 sections current affair compilation are a must. So you should do and revise 3-4 times so that you don't make mistake in those current affair parts.
Okay. And one main subject is left for now, that is history, because history is very broad. You have to prepare regarding ancient, medieval, modern. Then there are some ideas in the market that you can leave that medieval part also. So what will you suggest regarding that?
See, regarding history, yes, their medieval history, many people leave and go, and all those who have not done their parts till now, like what we started the video is 75 days for those people who have begun their preparation or are not much confident about syllabus completion. So they can think of leaving medieval, that's not an issue. But in history, Buddhism, Jainism must be completed. That every year they had been asking one question. Last year they asked 2 questions, and that had been a decider. Then again, we have the other part, freedom struggle or modern India should be done well. The acts in the constitutions 1813, 1833, which have been given in Lakshmikant also and which are part of modern history also, they must be done very well. And Congress sessions should be done. Then various CDM, NCM or Quit India movement, various the events which happened chronologically in 1939 to 47. So overall freedom struggle must be done in detail. Relevant chapter of spectrum or any other standard source is to be done. Development of education, that has to be done. See, themes to be identified. For example, what I understand that in last year development of education there were almost two questions. So one was Wellesley what established and something, and one other thing was there, like Wood's dispatch, primary, secondary, and which education was included. So they took the theme and they asked two questions. Prior to that, I think labor movement, they asked two questions. So textile means
Yes,
I mean that went some disputed question also. But what I mean to say that there are chapters in spectrum which are focused on particular theme like women, princely states, or this education, then others. So those chapters should also be done. For the time being, if you don't have time, you can think of leaving the medieval, but in ancient, a bit of chronology or like art and culture part, that must be done 11th NCERT, and if possible selected topics from chapter 1 2 5 and 6 from Nitin Singhania, and Buddhism, Jainism is a must.
okay. So that's all about the subjects, how to prepare about them. But then there is a question how to practice those tests.
Dushyant, I would like to add that like for repeaters who had been giving prelims,
Okay.
and for them the score have not been improving, or what should they do in last 75 days, I would like to add one thing, that those areas which we have mentioned in last 10 minutes, they are the key areas. So if they are very much comfortable with those areas, it's okay, it's good. If they are not comfortable, and then they should be master in those areas, because those are some favorite areas of UPSC. Other than that, they can identify the key themes through which the questions have been repeating. For example, indices, for example, international organization. The international organization can be done, what I mentioned, the source for economy, they have 2 chapters in that. Then mapping. So those areas which have been asked every year or the other, so in those areas they can work, as well as gap areas to be identified and worked.
Okay. So that was about how a fresher will prepare, and then how a person who has given the prelims for 2 or 3 times but not being able to get through should prepare. But then discuss something about how to approach the paper when you are in the examination hall itself, because there also a lot of students are having the problem to handle the stress. So how to handle the stress, how to keep it easy, because you must have experienced it by yourself firsthand, so you can tell the students how to do it.
Yes, a few pointers from my side, like first of all, the practice of exam, at least 5 tests I would recommend that you should give at center. And depending on the kind of mistakes you are making, suppose you are making more mistakes of, you have the knowledge but still you are making the mistake in 2 hours examination, then you can increase this number to 10. And if somebody is very comfortable in the examination and he is not making errors of knowledge temperament, then he can do the 5 tests, but at least 5 tests should be given first. Second is that don't keep OMR for the last 10-20 minutes. So after 1 hour, if you are done some 30 questions, 40 questions, whatever, so fill that OMR, because last 10 minutes, like we never know what can happen. Somebody may have a severe headache or something can happen, or maybe we have forgot to keep a watch on the keep an eye on the watch. So some mismatch of time and time can happen, and you can lose all the things. So rather than relying on last 20 minutes OMR filling, up to 90 minutes you should fill all the OMR, and after last 20 to 25 minutes, whenever you do a question, you fill the OMR immediately. In the initial 90 or 100 minutes, you can fill the OMR in a bunch to save time, but last 20 minutes you should fill OMR one-on-one. Other than that, I would say that your time breakup has to be practiced before the examination in the test series. And for that, what I used to say, that I would divide the examination into 100 minutes, 100 questions. So 25 minutes, 25 questions. So I will do 25 questions or 20 questions. I will mark those OMRs, those in the OMR. Through this, what happens? So we do 20 questions, a monotonicity comes. So after marking in the OMR, the monotonicity gets broken. So we get a break in the exam first. Second is that the whole like time management. So if you do question number 1 to 100, so after 50 question you should not, or after 80 question you should not realize that my time has been over. So after doing every 25 question in 25 minutes, if it is done in 20 minutes, that means you may be thinking a bit lesser. You can take some more time in the next 25 questions. But if it has crossed 30 minutes, that means you need to speed up in the next part of the examination, and it is to be completed within 20 minutes. So it is something like saying we have that in life you have a big problem, you break it into small problems and your efficiency also increases. One more thing has to be kept in mind, that each question carries equal mark. Suppose you have not been able to do 10-12 questions on a stretch, still you don't have to worry, because 88 questions are waiting for you. They all carry 2 marks. So doing 12 questions consecutively wrong or not doing so may not be a decider. It is the decider that what next questions will be. Then logical thinking and common sense should prevail. Sometimes seeing the option, you have to ask yourself that is it possible, or how is that related to my existing knowledge. Suppose there is a question on Wildlife Protection Act. You don't know about the that particular thing which have been asked in Wildlife Protection Act, but you know something, and then try to establish a logical connection between what you know and what has been written. So those will be a few pointers from my side.
So yes, that's very important to note, that one should not leave any question without reading that. That's a cardinal sin we should not do in the exam. Because again, this is a competitive exam. You cannot leave those questions without reading them. Because many of the questions which have been there in the previous years, these were those questions where you never know about them. But just by reading the statements itself and logically eliminating the questions, you could have solved that. Okay, so just reading the statements helps you in order to get the understanding, even though you don't know about the complete topic. So that cardinal sin you should not do while doing the exam. And secondly, you should not be short of time, because you should prepare accordingly yourself that you are being able to do those 100 questions in the given amount of time. So from our side, this is the strategy for the next 75 days. If you follow this strategy, there are chances that you will be successful in this exam, even though you are not getting that desired amount of success in your previous attempts. Just follow the strategy, and you can write to us if you have any other question regarding this prelims preparation or how to handle questions. Sort it out by making another video for you. Till then, if you like the video, please share and subscribe this video with your friends. Till then, thank you and have a nice day.